Wrong music for Ryan.
It's all good.
Not your baseball walk-up song.
Something more short and Courtney Carroll would listen to. Okay.
We'll work on it.
So Ryan Hodge is a wizard. He is absolutely unbelievably awesome. He's coached the team on and off, like through our past 6 years.
Yeah.
Who here has had Ryan coaching them even in the past couple of years? Okay. So Ryan comes to us with a brokerage of over 130 agents that he's built himself. He's also a coach, and he's also a big influencer. Okay, he gets called in to speak at a lot of different brokerages. They pay a lot of money, so he's here today doing it for us. O'Browse, is that how you say it?
You got it.
Yeah, which I mean, unbelievable. I just love him so much. So I wanted to put two hands together and give him a warm round of applause.
Wow.
Yeah, do you need a mic?
No, I'm good.
I don't
I'm
think
good.
you do.
I'm good. I think my voice will carry. Yes? Yes. Cool. Everybody has one of these? Yeah. JJ can make me cry, so I'm going to try and avoid that. How's everyone? Good. Good. Well, this reminded me that my local brokerage team meetings kind of suck. So I think that everything that shows up is here to teach us. It's an honor to be here. I come from just a place to contribute today. It's nice to get out of my space and get out among some of the people that are doing amazing things inside and outside of real estate. And today I'm just truly honored to be here. And so I thought today, because I'm not going to teach too many people from Jennifer Jones' team how to sell more real estate. I'm not going to teach too much about systems and processes, but I do know a little bit about productivity. I do know a lot about how to, grow your business and how to move into that productivity space. And I have a pretty good working knowledge of, the mindset stuff. And it sounds like some of you all talk a little bit about that. So if that's cool with you, I'm going to break into some of that. And it's a session that I've been doing for the last little while. So I just want to make sure that this works. It does. So let's talk about productivity. Productivity 101. What is, and this is an interactive session as well, and by the way, this usually goes a little bit longer, so if you need to cut me, it's no problem, okay? What is the biggest challenge that you're having in your business right now? We'll take a few answers. Biggest challenge that you're having in your business right now?
Finding time for it.
Time. Okay, what else?
I'd say building off that balance.
Balance. We've talked about that before. It's kind of cool, actually. Jake and I have done a little bit of work together in the past, and gosh, it's been probably a good 4 years since I've been here. Prior to COVID, I think a little bit grayer, a little bit thicker. Certainly aged a little bit. I hope to have grown a little bit wiser, but it's kind of cool because when I first met with you, you were just getting started. And so as Jake shared that, some of the things that I shared stuck, well, if I can impact one person today, then that makes a difference. That's really all that it's about. I think that that's all it's about in sales too, right? If we can wake up each and every day and say, how can I help one person, whether it's in, the acquisition or disposal of real estate, or if it's in, anything that you want to do to contribute to serve and support others, success is really never going to be an issue, right? And so with Jake, when he said that, he's having his, or has had his greatest year to date, and that's better than last year, is that accurate? Some of the principles, that maybe have led to that, which is one that you shared, which I'll get to in a second, stuck. So that's really what I'm here to do is, one little piece of information, see if it sticks. Because we can't be all things to all people. It's impossible. And too often we go to training or webinars or seminars, and especially over the last few years, we've become content junkies. So we are massive consumers of information when really the information on how to be highly productive in real estate is readily available at all times, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week online for free. And yet you see the stats that were just shared in terms of, how some are really, really at that highly productive level where the majority are not. Right, and it's because a lot of people have good intentions. Let's get into real estate and, make all sorts of money and, help a ton of people. but very, very few actually get to that upper level of getting really productive, taking consistent amounts of action in the spaces and places that they want to, and actually getting the results that they desire and deserve. So I heard time, I heard balance. Anybody else? Grow, like more business, okay? Or just the it's a little bit crazy in this real estate world. More business. Everybody wants more, okay? Mindset, okay? So I'm going to share and I'm going to give you some exercises a little bit later. The number one answer, and I've polled over 5,000 agents in person, online, number one answer that people give in terms of what is the biggest thing that gets in the way of the happiness, freedom, results that they desire, the biggest challenge in their business, which is really the answer, is time. Number two is fear. But it's not only the fear of failure, oftentimes it's the fear of success. And so I'm not going to go too kumbaya on everybody today, but I will share a little bit about that. But if you turn in your workbook, what I'd like you to do, and I'm going to share a few, what I reference as universal laws today. And these are just really ancient principles. A lot of people say them differently than I do. There's lots of different bodies of work on them. But what I want you to do is just write down for you, what's the number one thing that you came here today to maybe learn or grow through? See, the universal law of intention, the law of intention says that we've got to direct our energy somewhere for something to happen. Okay, and Jennifer just explained that. She directed her energy somewhere in terms of, she's going to be on some more stages. She detached from that because because of a lot of the action that she's taken through her career, that just happened to come to fruition in a really grand way. See, if you want a result, you've got to take action, but if you want massive results, you have to take massive amounts of action. There's no other way, in my perspective. The law of action says that nothing happens unless something moves. Okay, but too often we've got this great idea, we've got this goal. Goals are nice in theory. However, commitment means that we're actually executing and implementing. And so when you look at action and intention, they align together. They must align together. They work in tandem together. Does that make sense? And there's lots of great reminders that show up. So I know Courtney over the years is like massively into fitness, right? And so I see Courtney today, I'm like, wow, she looks ripped. Good reminder for me to go, I got to dial some things in again a little bit more. Same thing what I said about the meeting. And I mean, we run really great meetings as far as our brokerage meetings, but my little team meetings, and I'll get to that in a second, when I see the energy in this room, I go, gosh, what a great reminder of, how to infuse a little more energy in some of my own stuff. Okay, it's constant learning, nothing perfect. So set your intention for even today, okay? As you move through this, I've got some good news and bad news for you. Let's start with the bad news first. Empirical real estate data. Okay, this is proven over decades of research, and this is what I think Jake was referencing when I spoke to him before. 2/3 of our real estate business typically should be written by June 30th in order to be on track with our goal. How many people have written 2/3 of their goal or are on track to do that by the end of June? Okay. Now, I know that a lot of people have great Novembers and great Decembers, but it just is what it is. The spring market's the spring market. Okay. Good news. You can take immediate action in any space, in anything that you're doing in real estate right now or anything that you're doing, and you can immediately start having results. But it requires discipline, it requires commitment, it requires a certain amount of action that is proven and predictable. And so a lot of the stuff that I do as far as training and coaching and development, I haven't done for a number of years, at least getting out there. Number one, the pandemic. But at the start of this year, I had really looked at, through the fourth quarter of 2022, 40%, brokerages were down 40% through North America on average. That's a big drop. Okay, and I would imagine that the first quarter of 2023, very similar. And I get very frustrated because I see a lot of coaches, trainers, theorists, in my opinion, people that have never actually sold a house that are training on how to do this. I call them profiteers. And it's a very hardline message, and I'm not trying to be negative because I believe that people can offer value. But in my honest and deepest truth, I truly believe that most coaches and trainers that are really, really good, only about 5% of their income actually comes from coaching and training. Why? Because if they were really good at that thing that they were teaching on, they'd probably still have a pretty big element of that. It's why we move into leadership roles, because we want to serve and support others. And so when I looked at that, I said, you know what, I'm going to make sure that my team, number one, inside of my company comes out of the gate strong in terms of sales, but I'm also going to get out into some of these masterminds, events for people that have come and contributed to my organization or supported me along the way personally and professionally, and then some of the other events that we do as well. Because it's ultimately so simple if you start to learn some of the very, very basic principles, get some of that support. In an organization like this, you've got a ton of it. I know that. I've seen it. I've seen a lot of people that, you know, when I first started working with you, were just starting or even struggling, that have had these massive injuries. Don't think for a second that that can't be you. That is good news. The other good news that I share is that I have a pretty good resume of speed to implementation when it comes to growing and scaling my own 7-figure real estate business. Okay, so I was licensed in 2008. I had worked in corporate sales for about 10 years after university, and I just decided to get out of my family business because that was going to destroy that relationship. These things happen. But I sold over 200 homes in my first 2.5 years. Now, our average sale price right now in London is $600,000 compared to your 1.3 mil. And so you can imagine that I had to do a lot more sales to make money in my market than you have to do here. At the time, it was pretty much unprecedented. I know that there's people that have done more in shorter periods of time now. I went on to start my own company, and I recruited over 100 productive agents in a 3-year time period. I've been fortunate to train all over North America in terms of mindset, the principles behind high productivity, and certain systems and strategies that are proven and predictable, which I know for a fact that in this team organization, it's not hype, okay? It's not theory. They're proven and predictable strategies, systems, and processes. So you've got this major, major advantage here. Where a lot of people that are just getting into the business or are struggling, they don't even know, you know, the right thing to say, let alone the right thing to do. I also put on my resume, and I'm not afraid to do it, that I've created just as much failure inside of my business and personally as success. And success is really a little bit of a mindset flip, because to me, success does not equal fulfillment. Okay, success is actually really a toxic replacement for being fulfilled. And so we can do more and more and more, and that's what I like to do more and more and more, but I can avoid other things and then I can get into trouble. And so we want to be careful because quality of life is rarely talked about in this business as well. When you first interview with a lot of brokerages, not too many people are going to talk about, you know, the quality of life portion of the business and balance. Because we have to be careful, because if we're not, this business can chew us up and spit us out as well. Everybody's been there a little bit. We also have to stop comparing ourselves to others in that aspect. So where a lot of people might look at this as successful, ultimately, what is it going to be for you? What is it that you want to create in the remainder of 2023? Is it more sales? Is it more quality of life? Is it, doing the things that you want to do with the people that you want to do them with? And so we will look to that a little bit more. And I authored a book that's very, very heavily mindset, personal, spiritual development based, which I'll talk to in a little bit. So that's good news, because I know for a fact that when, the average realtor across North America sells about 4 to 5 homes a year, when people come into my office, I can quickly share, that you can sell a lot more very quickly. So if you're not quite on track to hit your goal, this is a great time to look at that as a key performance indicator. Okay, and it's really just understanding, where am I at in current space and time? Where do I want to go? You've got the surroundings here to help get you there. Sometimes it's about raising our hand and saying, I need a little bit of support. I need to connect with one of my fellow team members or get some support from the leadership inside of the team. And there's nothing wrong with raising our hand and saying that we need help, because it's the greatest catalyst to change. But we have to be transparent about that. We can't be secret agent. I'm going to give you a quick dialogue right now that's actually lent to well over 7 figures in commissions for me. And I'm going to share how I did it, and I'm going to point you to a resource to get it. Okay? So, if you are not connected with me on social media, I would suggest go to my Instagram, which is Ryan Hodge Official. If you're posting pictures of me today, get me at a good angle. That's good. That's a good idea. I was saying to SG earlier that there are people that take pictures at conferences and things like that, and the look on my face or the shape of my body at the angle, I just wonder what did I do to them, right? So that's all I'm saying. Under my link tree, though, you can go to my YouTube channel, and if you scroll down to the bottom, there's a recording of a session that I've done all over LA, Poland, New York, all over the place, called the Facebook funnel. The Facebook funnel is a simple way to engage your audience using simple messages that don't sell. Okay, and this is just an idea for you, but many of the people that I've worked with along the way have applied this and immediately works. And the message goes like this. This is what I sent to my audience when I started through my private messenger, okay? Hi, it's been a little while since we've connected. I just got into a new business with a new company, and I'd like to send you some information. Please send me your email address, phone number, and mailing address. I had about 1,000 people on my social media at that time. Only about 300 people responded, but of that 300 people, 100 actually sent me the information. That 100 people became an absolute gold mine of a database for me, because then I could start emailing them, I could start calling them, I could start nurturing them, because we are in a contact sport business. There's no way around it. And so when you look at that list, excuse me, that 100 people, and if you really break down your numbers, how often do people move?
Every 7 years.
Yes. So in that 100, does anyone know the math on how many transactions, or I should say clients or people that we're helping, should be there every year? 14.3. What would 14.3 extra deals do for you each and every year? And you can imagine what happens as you start to scale that and do it at a real high level. So many of you might be saying, well, I didn't just get into a new business with a new company, so how am I going to message these people? Flip the script. Hey, a lot of people have questions about the market right now, and I want to send you some information. The challenge is that so many of us get too caught up in, am I going to bother people? One, if they're your friends and family online, we're supposed to be able to engage with them, otherwise why are they there? Two, nobody wakes up and says, I wonder how Ryan Hodge's real estate career is doing today. Not even my folks, nor do yours, unless they're really special. But we have to remind people that we're in the business and that we're open for business. If you want to simplify that, really, really make it very, very simple, hey, how are you doing as a message? It's that simple. And you can do it through Instagram. You can do it with whatever channel you want. Just look at the channel where your audience is going to communicate. And so when you explore this, what happens online, just like offline, when people know that we're in real estate? Somebody knows you're in real estate. What's the question? What's the comment? What is it that we often get?
How's the market?
Boom. Same thing happens through your messages. If you did 25 of those a day, I guarantee you add 6 figures to your income. Guaranteed. And I make very few guarantees. If you do 25 of those messages a day, I guarantee it adds 6 figures to your income. Yep. So watch that video if you want. It's free, and it's certainly there for you. So when we talk about why people won't do the things that they know they need to do in order to experience that which they desire, we talk a little bit about resistance. So the law of resistance says that if we are resisting doing those things, doing the things that we know we need to do in order to have the experience that we want, oftentimes negative energy situates itself in our experience. So when you think about this for a second, if I know that I need to make a certain amount of phone calls to get a client, or I need to do a certain amount of open houses to do a buyer agreement, or if I need to, connect with people, come to meetings, engage and get my momentum and my energy up, and I'm not doing those things because I'm resisting it, even though I know those are the things that I need to do, what kind of energy situates itself in our experience? What would people say is the result?
Panic and frustration.
Lack of business,
Or that too. Which leads to lack of business.
right? And so why do we want to allow for that to happen? So we have to learn how to navigate that fear part of it in many cases. It has the element of fear. The most highly productive human beings on the planet that I know, that even those that I've worked with, and I've worked with some pretty interesting people in the personal space, 9-time Pro Bowl NFL Hall of Famer Brian Dawkins, Les Brown, one of the greatest motivational speakers. I've spoken with him. Similar story to speaking with someone as Jennifer shared. Speaking with those people, they all have the element of fear, but the difference is that they've just learned how to navigate that energy a little bit quicker. It's the same thing with a dialer. I'm really, really good on the phones, but I still have that initial, feeling, right? But I can move past it a little bit quicker. And that's what I find that most of the heavy-duty dialers, lead generation machines, people like that do. So a key question right now for yourself in terms of your own productivity is, what am I resisting doing? What are the things that I know that I need to do that if I do, I'm going to have a result, but what is it that I might be resisting? So when you look at this for a second, I'm going to give you what I've identified along the way as 4 key pillars of real estate productivity. Okay? So, everybody, I'm sure, has heard the word karma, yes? What does it mean to you?
Get back and get out.
Like energy out, energy in.
Energy out, energy in. What goes around comes around. It's referred to as the golden rule. Okay? Karma is a very circular energy. That's why they say what goes around comes around. Most realtors work in a very karmic manner. They come to something like this or something different, and they get a great idea as far as something that feels good, that's a way that they're going to generate more business. So they do it. And then guess what? They get a result. the result is usually in the form of a client. And if they do it more and more, they're going to get more clients, which is awesome. But somewhere along the way, they get too caught up in the transactional side of the business. They stop doing what got them busy in the first place, and then they go back to square one where they need to start over. And if it continues, then they go, oh, I need a new idea, a new idea. That's what agents across North America are doing right now. They're looking for these big, shiny objects that really don't exist. Because if you really break it down, there's 5 simple strategies that will always generate us more business. On the phones or doors, online leads, and if you have an ISA, amazing. Your sphere of influence, open houses, and certain social media strategies that are predictable, proactive, not reactive. And so when you look at how simple that is, we need to look at why have we started to move away from this? Why do I think, and I don't know what happened through COVID, that if I dance on my head on TikTok and advertise a mortgage rate, that that's going to generate business? I don't know what we were doing as realtors through this time period. And I'm not trying to offend you if you do. But it's a very reactive way of, generating more. So ground zero, bright idea, doing some work in the business, and then we're back to ground zero. We want to avoid that. And the beauty of this is that you've got a lot in place here to completely avoid it. So what I've identified along the way is more of a linear path. Who here, so everybody's heard karma, they know that word. What about dharma? D-H-A-R-M-A.
What's that?
Dharma, D-H-A-R-M-A. Everybody know what that means?
Need a refresher.
Okay, it's the law of purpose. The law of purpose, which says that anything and everything on this planet has a purpose. See, real estate's not our life's purpose. Nobody's waking up on death's doorstep and saying, my life would have been more complete if I just would have sold one more house. I hope. And if that's your deal, wow, you deserve the next award. But real estate's an amazing way to serve that purpose. And purpose can be anything, whether it's your family, whether it's your charity, whether it's your community, whether it's serving and inspiring others. Real estate's the unlimited element and potential to really, really drive that purpose. Purpose and working in purpose requires us to move in a more linear path, which means that we've got to do the next right thing right. Do we fall off track? Totally. But we know we have that understanding of what to do to get back on track, and it's going step by step, maybe a little bit better than we did yesterday. Make sense? So the key in that for me is foundation, personally and professionally. Do I have a goal? And I will share, most agents don't even have a clear written business goal as far as the income that they want to earn. Most agents don't have a specific set of protocols that they do to really serve themselves day in and day out in order to serve other people. So sometimes that foundation is, the one to look at right away. 2, predictable business cultivation. We just talked about that. If you put something in place for your business or if you adopt a strategy, let me share this. If you can't track and measure it, you cannot improve it. So let's not get into the hype, the theory, the big shiny objects. Let's look at what is predictable, measurable, trackable, so that if we do this stuff, hey, even if we're not getting the result we desire, we can work with other people, get support from people that have done it, and get that support to be able to predict it and move more into that productive path. Simple stuff. 3rd, back-end systems and processes. I have worked with teams all over North America. I will safely say that in the country of Canada, I have never seen a team that has as good of, great of, and excellence when it comes to systems and processes as this one. Okay? So systems are a word that are thrown around very loosely in real estate. Okay, so let's simplify it. Systems are really two things working together well. A set of connected principles or procedures. Your CRM, your lead generation systems, your ISAs, your integrators, right? And so, the people, places, and things involved with that allow us to leverage, which then gives you the leverage, right? It gives you the leverage to keep the three vital signs of real estate alive and well. Setting appointments, conducting appointments, and negotiating contracts. Setting appointments, conducting appointments, negotiating contracts. That's where working within an environment like this, you get to bypass so much of it because it's done. You still have to put in a serious amount of work and make a serious amount of commitment. But it's done in the sense that it allows you to be productive doing those things to generate that revenue, that income, that commission. And by doing that, you then get to live your purpose. Most people that get into real estate say, I want to have a team, I'm going to leverage and scale, I'm going to do it right away, but I never even realized how to conduct an open house and convert a buyer. And don't get distracted by the smoke and mirrors on social media because so many of the agents out there are full of shit. Sorry. Okay, but if you really look at numbers, we've got a guy in my market that, talks about coaching, talks about he's been number one, Keller Williams this, Keller Williams that, consistently bottom of 2,000 agents. And I mean the bottom. It's bullshit. Drives me nuts. But I take in good energy and I detach from it. Okay? So, along with that, and I just spoke for an event last week with another trainer who talks all about time management. And time management as far as time blocking and blocking off your routine and making sure that you can do every 15-minute increment of everything that you do every day. And this is why he's generating coaching clients in the real estate space. But guess what? He's never sold a house and he's never been involved with what this industry can be, which is really unpredictable. And so if we think that we're going to block off every 15 minutes of our day and follow that schedule day in and day out, I think that we're a little bit delusional. I believe that time management is actually a myth. I believe it's more about the choices that we make inside of our time. And so when we explore that, I'm going to give you a time exercise, and I know that some of you have gone through this before, but guess what? It's a really opportune time to go back to some of these fundamentals sometimes, go back to some of the basics, remind ourselves of what it is that got us, productive or was working in the first place, because we can move away from them at times without even really knowing. It is near impossible to have a routine that is that regimented in this business, but you could look to be a little bit more ritualistic in nature. And I can share a little bit about that in a second. But this is a time study that was given to me from a mentor years ago. And it really, really helps, and it's fun, and it's going to allow you to really look at where you're spending your time, but also what choices you could make inside of your time. So write the number down, 168. I might be in the book already for you. What does that number represent?
The hours in a week.
Number of hours available in each and every week, not different for any other human being on the planet. Okay, we all have that time available to us. From there, you're going to write down the number of hours on average that you sleep in a week. How many hours on average do you sleep in a week? No wrong answers here. Let me get some water. Can you pass that one? Thank you. From there, how many hours on average do you dedicate to your real estate career each week? It might be 20 hours, it might be 40 hours. If you're a workaholic like me, it might be 60 or 80 hours. I always find this interesting when somebody says that they dedicate 80 hours a week to their real estate career, but they've sold 2 homes by the end of May. We have challenges there. Or somebody that says they want to earn, multiple six figures a year, but they're putting 10 hours into their business each week. Everybody sees, what real success or, what looks like a successful business looks like, but they forget what went into actually create and build it. It is important to understand that this takes time. Third, I'm going to ask you to dedicate 2 hours a day, 5 days a week, 10 hours total, dedicated to self-serving activity. That can be anything that allows you to bring the very best version of you into each and every day. Maybe it's journaling, maybe it's meditation, maybe it's reading a non-business related book, maybe it's health and wellness, maybe it's going for a walk. Whatever that thing is for you that allows you to bring the best version of you into your next experience. In my deepest truth, I do not believe we can serve our friends, our family, our loved ones, or our real estate clients unless we're serving ourselves first. And so that is a key one. So 168 minus your sleep, minus your work hours, minus your self-serving 10 hours. How many hours do we have left? 39. Anyone else? 57?
1 hour.
Serious? Wow. On average, usually people will say 40 to 60 hours. Okay, ballpark 40 to 60 hours. So, 40 to 60 hours dedicated first to do the things that we want to do with the people that we want to do them with. That is the first step. Now, second is that self-serving time. If you really buy into this, you're going to make that self-serving time first, then the time that you spend with others, your loved ones, your community, your church, whatever, that purposeful time. Okay, third, 2 hours a day, 5 days a week, non-negotiable lead generation or business cultivation time. 2 hours a day, 5 days a week. Anybody that gives 2 hours a day, 5 days a week in this business writes their ticket for as much revenue as you want to generate. Guaranteed. I don't know anybody that has never been a multiple 6 or 7-figure earner if they commit to that.
Look at Jake.
Sorry? Look at Jake. So let's look at this and see how this is simple. I'm going to dedicate the time that I need to take care of myself in whatever that way that might be. I'm going to make sure that I block in all the things that I want to do with the people that I want to do them with. And I'm going to look to make that pretty non-negotiable. I know that things are going to come up. I know that that's not going to be perfect, but I'm going to try and stay aware to if I'm really getting off track, out of balance, or out of rhythm. And I'm going to dedicate 2 hours a day, 5 days a week to really generating more business, working on it versus in it. All of a sudden, I'm looking after myself. I'm doing the things that I want to do with the people I want to do them with, and I'm fueling my business. I'm continually pouring gasoline on that fire. That bulletproofs it. Anna.
Speaking about lead generation 2 hours or 5 days, are you including also open houses, door knock, or just calls?
Well, I think that, if you look at open houses, for example, so let's take that as a simple metric, okay? How many open houses should result in a buyer in the next 12 to 18 months? 4? You do 4 opens for one buyer? 2, okay? Anyone else? I'm going to say it's 2, but let's say conservatively it's 3. Now, of course we know that those should be lower price point, good curb appeal, new to the market listings, not really stale listings where we're not going to get the traction, right? That lower price point, we're going to get more buyers in, which means that our chances of conversion are higher. Avoiding the circus that sometimes happen in these hot markets. So if you look at 1 and 3, okay, just conservatively, if you really work your skill sets, you learn your conversion strategies, your scripts, your dialogues, whatever you guys do to have people sign in and, follow up. If you do that stuff, it can get to 1 and 2. How many open houses would it take to do 50 real estate transactions in a year usually then? 150. Is it possible? Totally. I would never want to do 150 open houses in a year. I, in fact, stopped working with buyers after 9 months in the industry. But that cost me a lot of business as well. And if I look back on it, I would have done some of that differently. But what I do know is that open houses are a proven and predictable platform. So here's the thing. People are really struggling and they know if I do that many opens, I'm going to do 50 deals in the next 12 months. Or if I'm really struggling, I'm going to make 200 calls a day or not 200 doors a day or whatever the metric might be. And if I do it 50 times, I'm probably going to get 50 transactions. But why don't we do the things that we know we can do, we have to do, that are proven, but yet we don't do it? And what does that resistance result in? A lack of business. We don't want a lack of business. So we can look at these simple things that say, I know somebody that does this, and if it's a way that doesn't feel good to you, like if you say to yourself, I'm never gonna, go knock on somebody's door. If that's your thing and you hate it, then maybe you move away from it. But we have to find something that's going to work for you that feels good and is going to be predictable. Just going online each morning and saying, here's your mortgage rate, Bank of Canada increase, or just listed, just sold. Yeah, that's all part of our process, but that's not predictable as far as saying, I know if I do X amount of activity, Y is going to be the result. Anna. I love your engagement as always, Anna.
The thing is, okay, question is, you go every morning and say, here is the mortgage rate, or here is this news, or whatever. Do you send it to your friends group or personal messages, as you mentioned, 25 people a day?
Personal messages are personal messages. So when you go through that platform, it's really about how do I engage? How do I make deposits into the consumer equity bank account? Like, how do I bring value? What do most agents do? Buy or sell a house through me. It's so crazy, right? Please list your house with me. They go to a FSBO. You should be listed with a realtor. They don't use any kind of nurturing sequence as far as, seeing the home, looking at, the fine features of the home, developing a rapport, maybe, asking them if they're going to be, hosting an open house themselves this weekend. And at about the 2 or 3 week point when that FSBO is completely frustrated, guess who's going to get the spot? Not the, 2,000 other agents that called or knocked said, you should be listed with a real estate agent. So we've got to differentiate with our audience. So to go back to your question, the messages are initially just value messages. Touching base, how's it going? Over time, you can put in, the messages about real estate. Here's a simple one, okay, if you want to get more real estate focused. Every time that you guys sell a house, put your new client on a auto search for any house that sells in their area or on the street. I think your system's a little different here, right? Okay, so it's just going to send it to you. It's not going to send it to the client. You're going to take that when you get that email notification, you're going to take a photo of it on your phone, cut it into a square, right, so that we look competent when we send something, and send something to that client saying, hey, I saw a house on your street just sold, just thought I'd send it along and keep you updated. What does that do for business? And what else does it position as you as far as doing? What does it show that you do? Care. Right? Care. Serve and support others. Success is never an issue. A lot of people will use that strategy and say, hey, you bought last year, maybe you should buy again. Like it's crazy, right? It's sales breath. We don't want that. Now there's dialogues that say over time, maybe we should take some equity out of house one and invest for your future, but that's a whole other conversation. Does anybody have challenges with that time exercise, or are there, is there a discussion to be had about why that might not work for you? I don't know what to say when it's 1 hour left.
I was going to say that I had an epiphany of that's an hour. Like, how much time do I really have? And then I had that moment of how precious time is. Like, I actually sat here thinking, holy mackerel! Like, each hour that you're spending of your day that you're losing from your life is so critical, and making that decision, exactly what you're saying, like not time wasting, but be very intentional about where you're putting that time and energy, and into what and into whom, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like,
For sure.
And I was actually having that moment of, wow, like we are so blessed to have an hour of your time, and I feel so fulfilled that I get an hour of your time. Like it was just like this moment.
That's very kind.
Yeah, thank you.
Very kind. She's doing it to me again. It's crazy. Crazy. I never missed a kid's sport. I've coached sports. I actually coach high school football in the fall, which is a massive commitment every day, 5 days a week. I was a terrible husband. Terrible husband. Time was not spent in that department, and there's usually a result that comes along with that for me. You can read about it in my book. However, when you look at, the things that you want to do with the people you want to do them with, the most I ever sold in real estate, which was upwards of 200 homes in 1 year, I played 77 rounds of golf.
Yes.
So it is not about the time, it's about the choices that you make inside of the time. Somebody had a question.
I had a couple of problems with, door knocking. People were inviting me in for an hour and a half. So-
Boundaries.
Well, it was kind of like, tell me your problems, it turned into.
Yeah.
And I didn't know how to shut them down without being rude. That was one issue. And then I dialed the next day and I got people for an hour and a half. So I don't know if.
Are you a chatty Kathy?
No, I didn't say much. Like
So listen, 20% they talk
they
80%.
just felt empathy or something, and I couldn't get a word in edgewise.
Which is a wonderful trait to have, right?
I didn't know how to
Yeah.
Say something.
start the spiel, start the script.
I had this experience at the beginning door knocking, and then they said, oh, you know what, that's perfect. You know what, do you mind if I have to finish the whole street? And then I come back to you to talk. I have
Yeah.
to finish it, this is my work. I came, that's my teamwork.
You can do it in integrity where you're not lying about something that you need to do, but I'm back here for some calling. That's a couple weeks from now. Scripts calling. Is that still on the go?
Yes.
Right? With Courtney, I believe?
EXP, yes.
Okay, so I'm doing some, and we can do a Zoom on that anytime too. You've got to be intentional with the language, right? We have to really have that boundary, and really, it is in scripting. It is in our cadence with the scripts too. We have agents, so we're big on like client gifts or pop buys, if you've ever followed the Buffini program. So we do gifts all the time, like quarterly. So we train all of the agents at our brokerage to do that too. Their challenge is that they're very likable people. It's not so much about the, dump your problems on me. They're likable, so their clients are inviting them in for drinks. And so all of a sudden they've hit 3 or 4 clients' homes and they're hammered leaving, and I'm like, you can't do this. Like drop the stuff off on the door. You know what I mean? hi, like text, send them the picture, hey, I was in the area and stopped by. Does that make sense though? So cadence in the language, and that's something that is, it's a skill set to learn and a boundary to create. In terms of the 7 steps to the higher self, I know some of you have done this process, but this is something you can do daily, weekly, monthly, yearly. You can do it in terms of any goal that you want to commit to. So I'm going to have you put pen to paper here because it's more intentional and it's aligning your intention with your action. You can do this as a team. It's how I work within my team framework as well. So there's 7 questions, okay? 1, what was my commitment? I'm not listing the questions, Anna. You got to write them down. What was my commitment? What was my commitment? Number 2, did I keep my commitment? Did I keep my commitment? Number 3, in all that is possible, could I have kept my commitment? In all that is possible, could I have kept my commitment? SG, I walk a lot, eh? So you're probably going like, oh, yeah, it's okay. I used to burn through carpets when I'd speak, so I try. That's an improvement I need to make. Number 4, what got in the way? What got in the way? What got in the way of me keeping the commitment that I made and declared, whether it's to my team, to my family, to myself? Knowing that it's not the market, it's not the crazy-ass client or situation you've got. It's 100% personal responsibility. Number 5, what did I learn about myself from this experience? What did I learn about myself from this experience? We can always be learning. Every experience shows up to shape us, positive and negative. What did I learn about myself from this experience? Number 6, do I want to recommit? Do I want to recommit? Nothing wrong with recommitting to a goal. That's called being human. But we've got to stay aware to the commitments that we made and if we want to recommit to them. And number 7, acknowledgement for the commitments that you made and kept. I can tell this team does that really, really well. Okay, really, really well. Acknowledgement for the commitments that you made and kept. It's important to self-appreciate. It's important to appreciate and celebrate others because what we celebrate tends to expand. What we celebrate tends to expand. What was my commitment? Did I keep my commitment? In the realm of all that is possible, could I have kept my commitment? What got in the way? What did I learn about myself? Do I want to recommit? And acknowledgement for what you did commit to and kept. So you could look at that easily back to our open house example. I'm committing to 2 open houses, for the next 4 weekends. Or 2 open houses for the week. Simple productivity measurement tools here, okay? It's good to see you. Congrats on the success and fulfillment. I'm going to leave you with a few principles. I call this Hodge mindset, some of the stuff that I've learned along the way that it really resonates with me. 1, smoke and mirrors. This is a key thing to look at. Everything that's showing up in your experience is showing up to teach you what you need to learn about yourself in order to evolve further. Everything that's showing up is showing up to teach you what you need to learn about yourself in order to evolve further. Number 2, response versus reaction. Most people have reacted to the real estate markets. Time and time again they do. We know that in any market, there's a massive opportunity to pick up your own market share. That requires responsibility. Personal responsibility is what it's all about. Number 3. I need to pause? Am I good on time too? I'm almost done. I'm good? Okay, number 3. Everybody has heard about the law of attraction, yes? I know we talk about it a little bit in this space. Law of attraction is very, very mainstream. Law of attraction is actually, if you study this stuff, the secondary law. The primary law, worth exploring, is the law of vibration. The law of vibration. The law of vibration says that everything on this planet operates as energy, and it acts like a magnet. Positive energy attracts positive energy. Negative energy attracts negative energy. Have you ever observed a realtor or real estate professional that always seems to have a really shitty situation on the go in their business? Or their clients always seem to be the crazy, batshit wild client that just, drives them nuts?
Yes.
But when you step back and you go, do they have a little bit of batshit crazy in them too? A little bit?
What I think it is more, it's not that they're batshit crazy.
Right.
I believe that it's like especially for newer agents, this is kind of a trend that we see. When you're a newer agent, you'll kind of take anybody because your confidence isn't there. So you tend to attract the crazy until you get that
Yes.
self-esteem that takes you to a place where you attract, where you really resonate, right?
My examples aren't as nice. Right? But it's true. Raise that energy, raise what you attract. Okay? 4, remember, and we talked about it right at the start, law of intention is the goal. So goals are one thing, commitments are another. Intention and action must align. Law of detachment. We're too caught up in focusing on the end game. Attached to the process.
Wait a second, we're still on that. Yes, that's aligned.
Intention and action. Attach to the process, detach from the outcome. In other words, focus on the activity, not the results. If you do the activities, the results are going to come. I promise you that. Focus on the activity, not the results. Go to the depths with your audience. Okay, stop being the typical realtor. Now, if you follow along with me, you know that I'm very mindset-based, personal and spiritual development, very transparent. Not everybody wants to share their whole story all the time. But here's what I share. About 7 or 8 years ago, I was nonstop when I'd coach, just specific real estate tactical strategy, how to grow your business. Those were the only things that I spoke on. And I had a big event in Mississauga where I had a full house at the Living Arts Center. I had another industry coach that spoke on some of this stuff coming in, but he lost his passport at the last minute. And this was going to be the first time that I talked really transparently about some of my stuff, addiction, some of my stuff with low self-worth, some of my stuff with the chaos that I know how to create if I'm not careful. And I was petrified about what that would do when I spoke on that stuff inside my company and out. But when I did that for myself, my client avatar completely changed. Not that everybody that comes into my coaching was along those lines, but people that were more energy focused, productivity focused, good, surroundings, creating really great environments, that kind of focus. So although we want more, don't just focus on more. Take that more, or the people that you do have, and take them to a deeper level. Your client avatar will change. Okay, and in the law of pure potential says that our potential is truly unlimited. Your leader is a prime example of that, okay? The people that are having, these really great stories are a prime example of that. You are all a prime example of that. It's just about moving into that space. The potential that we all have is unlimited. It's been an honor to serve you guys.